It's time for this week's Parting Shots.
Just days before his team became the center of the sports world this week, Giannis Antetokounmpo was named Defensive Player of the Year, adding to his MVP title from the year before and his Most Improved Player award from 2017. But perhaps the most impressive thing about the 25-year-old international superstar is how he connects with his community. Before the NBA shut down back in March, Giannis would regularly hand out his game-worn shoes to kids in the stands. And last November, a young man named Dion attended a Bucks game as part of his Make-A-Wish experience. Dion had been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer in January, and his condition was getting worse. Still, Dion was able to sit and chat with Giannis, who made him this promise.
We'll win the game today for you.
That night, Milwaukee beat Toronto, the team that had ousted them from the Eastern Conference Finals the year before. Dion left the game with a jersey from Giannis, and according to his father, his first real smile since his diagnosis. Sadly, Dion passed away a few weeks later. But if you're wondering what that interaction meant to the young man, his family buried him in the jersey Giannis gave him and a pair of Giannis's shoes. Pro athlete success is often defined by wins and titles and trophies, and Giannis is certainly racking those up. But their legacy is also measured by the people they meet and move, even in the shortest moments. And whether or not he wins another MVP title this year, perhaps Giannis's most valuable contributions are the connections he's making off the court.
On Tuesday, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said he hoped to arrive at a compromise with players ahead of this season's peaceful protest during the national anthem. It's an interesting statement coming from the face of the world's most valuable sports team. Jones wants to compromise a compromise. Colin Kaepernick took a knee after he was counseled that doing so was more respectful than sitting. Jones hopes his compromise will resemble when he, coaches, and players took knees and locked arms before the anthem in 2017. This was a concession to President Donald Trump at best, an empty gesture at worst. In a summer of social reckoning that's seen NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell admit the league mishandled its initial social justice stance, Jones went notably silent for 109 days until finally speaking out earlier this week. In the final speech of his life, Martin Luther King said, "All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper." Kneeling was never about the anthem, military, or the flag. It's been about so many names like Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and in the same week Jones made his compromise statement, Jacob Blake. What Jones failed to acknowledge is that asking Cowboys players, by and large black players, to compromise on issues he's yet to take publicly definitive stances on isn't a compromise at all. The owner of the Dallas Cowboys lacks empathy, a microcosm of what I see in the United States. Perhaps the nickname America's team is quite fitting after all.
From the day NBA players arrived in the bubble in Orlando, they made their concerns clear. Could they have a voice regarding social justice issues while still playing? This week we got the answer, and it's a resounding yes. The NBA shut down their entire slate of Wednesday games, postponed as players used their microphones to speak about the shooting of Jacob Blake. The current collective bargaining agreement grants the league the ability to fine, force forfeits, and even rip up the existing CBA and force a new negotiation. But instead, it chose to support the players and postpone all games. Why didn't the NBA take action against the players? Because how could they? Why risk having the players feel like they can't be heard, especially when they can opt out of the bubble? That would have crippling effects not just on these playoffs, but also on the next season and beyond, including the relationship that's so important to both sides to negotiate a new CBA. And this isn't just an NBA issue. The mindset of wanting a personal platform to stand on has spread to athletes in all sports. 4 years to the day before this historic shutdown, the world was reacting to the breaking news of Colin Kaepernick not standing for the anthem. NFL owners spoke loudly, even in silence at times, regarding the fact that they don't want these issues to be a conversation. Now, we've seen multiple NFL teams canceling practices to give players space to be heard. The sports landscape has changed this year. Athletes have become more empowered than I ever imagined possible. But owners and leagues have been pushed to the point where resistance of individuality could lose a star, a locker room, or an entire season.
Typically, each week on this platform, I write about 200 words and deliver them on camera. The hope is to enlighten, entertain, to be cogent, clever, and when the subject's appropriate, funny too. As in all such endeavors, there are singles, doubles, triples, plenty of whiffs and pop-ups, and only the occasional home run. But this week, the best use of this platform requires me to cede my time. Like so many, I was struck this week by the impassioned response in the world of sports to the shooting of Jacob Blake. And nothing hit home more than the words of Dominic Smith of the Mets.
I think the most difficult part is to see, people still don't care. And for this to continuously happen, it just shows just the hate in people's heart. And that just sucks, And being a black man in America, it's not easy, so.
If you are among those who think athletes speaking out are merely grandstanding, if you think the pain isn't real, listen to Dominic Smith again. What more needs to be said?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.